Um, my voice is almost back, so that's a good thing. I'm still a little bit nasally, but I'm working my way back to being able to communicate at least semi-effectively uh, with everyone. Hang on, let me just see if I can pull up my live stream. Here we go, so I can see who's joining us today. Um, what are we going to cover today? Today, I think I'm going to try to squeeze a lot in a little bit of time, which seems to be what I always try to do. Patricia, Margie, Catherine, welcome. How are you guys? Thank you for being here today at Xenocracy. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. So today, looking up at my notes, I'm closer to normal is a subjective term, Catherine, but in terms of sounding normal, I feel like I'm closer. My determination, the thing that I use to determine if I'm back to 100% is if I can properly do my Donald Trump impression. I don't think Mitch is back. He's not fully back. I don't think he doesn't sound like me. Let's just compare.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. I'm getting closer, but I feel like I had to strain to do that. And there's still a little bit of that sultry sound of snot. It's unpleasant. But I digress, my friends. So what I'd like to cover today is, and I'm thinking it's about almost 11:15 right now. I know the live schedule has been all over the place this week. Much better. I agree, Catherine. Thank you. The live schedule has been all over the place this week. I'm finally kind of settling into where I'm at. I think 11:15 or 10:15 a.m. is probably going to be for the next several months, at least this scheduled live. I've been able to squeeze in non-scheduled lives over the last several days as news has been breaking at times, but I'm thinking the scheduled Substack live. Well, we're on with last couple of days. I've also been including YouTube in our lives, although not too many people show up, but you never know. Anyway, what are we going to cover today? I'm going to start out with Lacey. I see isn't here yet, but I want to start out bringing up a topic that Lacey brought to my attention. I mean, everyone was aware of the topic, but Lacey kind of, just kind of updated me on the House passing a ICE funding bill with some bipartisan support. It wasn't just Republicans. And I want to cover that. And we're going to kind of go over the perspective of the House Democrats that are supporting some kind of ICE funding, and their logic. I don't agree with their logic. 7 Dems that need to go. That about sums it up, Catherine. I don't agree with their logic. But we'll talk about it. And also, I have a clip from Senator Blumenthal talking about what it would take for him to vote for ICE funding. And I think just to kind of give you a little bit of taste of what I'm going to talk about there, I think Democrats have this miraculous talent for adding context and complexity when it's not necessarily needed, when it doesn't need to be there. With the ICE funding issue, I think it's fundamentally a black and white issue. I think it's fundamentally ICE is operating like a modern day Gestapo, right? The ICE agents are operating like Nazis, right? You don't fund that. All of these other things, and we'll get into it, which are things that complicate the discussion, I don't think they matter. I mean, they matter, but I don't think they matter in this context. Okay, so that's that's something we're going to cover. So let me just go through everything. Let me just pull down the screens. So we're going to cover ICE in a little bit. We're going to cover the ICE funding. We're going to cover the Senator Blumenthal, share this clip. I read I only read about half of this article today, but it's extremely disturbing. It's a Prospect. I'm not familiar with Prospect, the news outlet, but it's a for-profit school opening in for-profit ICE family prison. On the one hand, you could possibly look at that as the Trump administration trying to somehow humanize the ICE detention. On the other hand, you can look at it as the Trump administration looking to normalize long-term, if not permanent, detention in U.S. concentration camps of migrants, and who comes next. We're going to cover that, but where I want to start out with is here. I want to start out with TikTok. Because it's news, and I guess we kind of care. I feel like most of us here, there's only a couple of us on the call right now, but most of us here are refugees from TikTok. A lot of, how many of us go from TikTok to Substack or YouTube or Blue Sky or everywhere and anywhere else, right? So most of us are TikTok refugees. And I still haven't surrendered my TikTok community yet, and I've actually started in the last couple of days posting on TikTok again. So that's where I still have my largest following. It's still a place where I hope to be able to attract TikTokers to come over here and join us at Xenocracy.news here on Substack. But I think there's I don't know. Even if you don't care about TikTok anymore, from a cultural perspective, it still matters in the United States of America. And from a political perspective, it's huge. It's significant, right? So the TikTok deal is all but done, right? Larry Ellison of our Oracle, what is he, the fourth richest man in the world? He's going to be him and a handful of U.S. investors are going to be taking over TikTok. ByteDance, the Chinese company, will still own something like 19.9% or something like that. So it's really, really questionable whether or not the algorithm, which was the big security issue anyway for the law that outlawed, in essence, TikTok from being owned by a foreign company, by a Chinese company. But it's really questionable, and I don't think anybody really knows right now who gets to control the algorithm. I haven't read this article yet. We'll read some of it together, but from the reporting that I've seen, it sure seems like that ByteDance is still going to control the algorithm, which would be kind of comical if you think about it, because that would suggest that ByteDance is basically still running the show, in terms of U.S. security. But irrespective, that's another story for another day. But it looks like whether or not, in terms of the primary U.S. stakeholder, that's going to be Larry Ellison's company, Oracle. Now, is his Nepo baby son, excuse me, guys, is his Nepo baby son going to be the guy who gets to control it? His trust fund baby, really wants to have an entertainment media empire. I don't know if the kid has any brains or talent. I shouldn't kind of approach this topic from that perspective, suggesting that this is just another spoiled rich brat with no talent, who has an extraordinarily rich daddy who's going to give him a big company. But, I'm not suggesting it's not. I don't know. But we know that from reporting that his son really, 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 really wants Warner Brothers, right? Really wants Warner Brothers. And I mean, that's a hell of a fucking like Christmas gift, right? We're gonna give you Warner Brothers, son. You want it, you got it. You'll get CNN, you'll get the Harry Potter's franchise, you'll get HBO, you'll get a studio that's been around for almost 100 years, and all of the movies ever made by that studio. You'll get Discover. I think Discovery is getting rolled off, I think, into a separate company. So he may not get. Hey, Irish Aggie, how are you? So he may not get. He may not get that. But so you would think for Larry Ellison, being the dutiful dad, interested in making sure his little boy has whatever it is that he wants, and that his little boy can control the lives and the careers of thousands and tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, as well as a large chunk of the media. I mean, the kid's already got CBS fucking News already and 60 Minutes. Why not give him this? But at the same time, Larry is a MAGA sycophant. He's a Donald Trump loving cretin, right? So, and Donald Trump wants control of the social media airwaves. They're not really airwaves, but we'll call it that because I can't think of a better word. But, Donald wants all that. And Donald gets whatever he wants, except fucking Greenland. I wanted Greenland. I was going to get it. I made it. I said Greenland. I talked to a very rich guy, very smart guy, a rich guy. He said, you know what? I don't think you're going to get Greenland. I said, I'm going to get Greenland. I said, it's what, and then I said it, and I went there, and I said Greenland, and I went to Davos, and they said, Donald, you can't have it. You can't have Greenland. And I said, I'm going to have it. Oh, but I don't have Greenland. I didn't take Greenland. I didn't want it. I changed my mind. It's a fantastic place, but we're going to get defense. There's going to be nuclear. We're going to get defense. It's going to be nuclear. It's going to be fantastic. So, good for you, Gamer Vet Dad. I don't want to distract you from your studies, which is excellent. But irrespective, I don't think, as I think about whether or not Larry Ellison's son is going to be the guy that controls the fate of all of these TikTok influencers who, here in the U.S., who make their living off of the app, and all of these users who love the app. I don't know that Larry is going to give it up to his son because Donald wants it, and Larry wants to give Donald what he wants, so Larry can get from Donald what he wants. So I don't know. But it's interesting to think about. Irrespective, let's review some of the reporting about this so we can get some real facts and juxtapose them against my babble. TikTok has finalized a deal to create a new American entity, avoiding the looming threat of a ban in the United States that has been in discussion for years. The social video platform company signed agreements with major investors, including Oracle, Silver Lake, and MGX, to form the new TikTok US. Now, from what I understand, and we'll read more of this, I think it's going to be a new app. But at least we're going to have to, those of us that are going to participate in this TikTok debacle will have to download a new app. The new version will operate under, quote, defined safeguards to protect national security through comprehensive data protections that protect national algorithm security, content moderation, and software assurances for U.S. users. Now, content moderation is the interesting term there, right? What does that mean, Larry? Lawrence! Calling Lawrence. I need to get like a, in my sound effects thing, I need to make a little note for myself. I need to get like a little phone call sound for moments like this. Hang on. Don't go away, guys. Let me just make a note. Phone call sound. Because that would have been a perfect moment. Say, Lawrence, calling Lawrence. Then you do a little phone call. Oh, that's not a phone call sound, but you get my point. Um, Irrespective, I digress. Um, the new version. So the fact that there's going to be content moderation. Now, does that mean content moderation like TikTok has been engaged in that caused influencers like me to flee the app? That would be the kind of content moderation where you get banned for, oh, I don't know, mentioning Barack Obama's name, right? Or is it content moderation where, rightfully there's some moderation for, things that are inappropriate, like when I'm on a live and on TikTok and a raging MAGA community member comes on and threatens, I don't know, my child, right? I don't know. Would that be okay? Because that's not the kind of moderation that TikTok has had. Or is it moderation based on what Donald likes and what is pro Donald and what makes Donald feel good? I don't know. Irrespective, American TikTok, the new version. Let me just read that again. The new version will operate under defined safeguards to protect national security through comprehensive data protections, algorithm security, content moderation, and software assurances for U.S. users. The company said in a statement Thursday, American TikTok users can continue using the same app. So, as an American user, if I understand that correctly, we're not going to have to download a new TikTok app, which is different than what I thought was going to be the case. President Donald Trump, the village idiot, praised the deal in a Truth Social post, thanking China's President Xi specifically for working with us and ultimately approving the deal. Trump added that he hopes that long into the future I will be remembered by those who use and love TikTok. Maybe we could get him a trophy, right? Did you guys see all the memes over the last week after Donald accepted the trophy from the activist? I can't remember her first name, Machado. Is it Maria Machado? I think I might have heard her first name incorrect. I apologize. From Venezuela, after she gave him her Nobel Peace Prize. Did you guys see all those social media apps, all those social media memes of everybody handing Donald Trump their prizes? Like there were, little kids who won like a soccer tournament handing him their trophy, like memes of them handing him their trophies. There were like, kids also in soccer tournaments that got, participation trophies. There was somebody did a meme where they had Daniel from the Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid, for those of us that grew up in the 80s. And remember in the first Karate Kid, he won the trophy for the, I don't know, like the Glendale Regional Karate Championship. And so they had Daniel like handing the trophy to the village idiot Donald Trump. So maybe for saving TikTok, all of us as TikTokers could make the village idiot a trophy, a gold-colored plastic trophy, and that might really make him happy. Adam Presser, who previously worked at TikTok's head of operations and trust and safety, will lead the new venture as its CEO. He will work alongside a 7-member majority American board of directors that include TikTok's CEO, Shao Chu. The deal marks the end of years of uncertainty about the fate of the popular video sharing platform in the United States after wide bipartisan majorities in Congress passed and President blah, 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 who gives a shit. In addition to an emphasis on data protection, the U.S. user data being stored locally in a system run by Oracle, the joint venture will also focus on TikTok's algorithm. Ooh, this is where it should get interesting. The content recommendation formula, which feeds users specific videos tailored to their preferences and interests, will be retrained, tested, and updated on U.S. user data, the company said. So that's interesting. So I guess they're going to get the algorithm and they're going to fuck with it, right? Sorry, I didn't mean to blow my nose in your ear right there, but I am, God willing, finally almost a week. It'll be a week tomorrow at the tail end of this annoying freaking cold. It never really was. It was a weird cold. It still is. I never got sick. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel out of sorts. I didn't even really have a runny nose. I have I digress for a second, but I need to tell you this, guys. This is the group therapy for me. I have my nose runs more just when I do a live because that happens for some reason, right? But this cold was so weird. It was just like not even in here in your sinuses. It was like in here, right? It's just like, but I mean like back there. And it was just like fucking stuck there. It just sat there. That's where the cold was. And it was interesting because my son had it first and he's like 10, so he has it for 3 days. I get it for over a week. And he kept telling me, Dad, this is a weird cold. It's just in the bottom of my head. And I was like, no, it's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. You'll be fine. I know cold. He's like, Dad, no, the cold is in my like face. And I'm like, no, it's not in your fucking face. I didn't say fucking. My son was right. This is the oddest freaking cold it's not the worst by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't even remarkably unpleasant, except it was really hard to talk at one point. I think you guys will remember that. I'm talking at least a little bit easier now. But it's just there. And it's so slowly going away. It's like every day, it's a little bit less. And a little bit, just a little bit. Colds are usually, they like suck. Then you're a little bit less one day, and then you're like, motherfucker's gone. That's not this shit. I blame this on Trump too, because I just want to. Anyway, let's just get back to the news, shall we? Enough about my personal nonsense. Okay, in addition to the emphasis on data protection with U.S. user data being stored locally, blah, 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 run by the joint venture will also focus on TikTok's algorithm, the content recommendation formula, which feeds users specific video trained to their preferences and interests, will be retrained, tested, and updated on U.S. user data. The company said in its announcement, it'll be interesting to see if Oracle has the programming talent and the pop culture talent to not fuck up the algorithm and fuck up the thing that made TikTok what it is. The algorithm has been a central issue in the security debate over TikTok. China previously maintained that the algorithm must remain under Chinese control by law, but the U.S. regulation passed with bipartisan support said any divestment of TikTok must mean the platform cuts ties specifically with the algorithm. Specifically with the algorithm with ByteDance. Under the terms of the deal, ByteDance would license the algorithm to the U.S. entity for retraining. Did I just read that right? Is that me? Did you guys catch that? Let's read that again. Where am I at? But the U.S. regulation passed with bipartisan support said any divestment of TikTok must mean the platform cuts ties, specifically the algorithm with ByteDance. Under the terms of this deal, ByteDance would license the algorithm to the U.S. entity for retraining. That's not cutting ties, right? If you license something, ByteDance owns it, and Oracle and these other investors pay ByteDance for access to the algorithm that they own. Let's read on, guys, because this is curious. The law prohibits, quote, any cooperation with respect to the operation of a content recommendation algorithm between ByteDance and a new potential American ownership group. So it's unclear how ByteDance's continued involvement in this arrangement will play out, because it does break the law. But we know that Donald Trump and his cronies can break any law they want. They're breaking the law, the Epstein files release law, as we speak. The ICE Gestapo breaks the law every day, multiple laws. So what the fuck does it matter to them, to Larry Ellison or to the village idiot Donald Trump, that they're breaking the law? What would be interesting to see is in 2028, after this motherfucker is out of office, it would be interesting to see if a new Department of Justice, an independent Department of Justice, with whomever, or whoever I should say, is the Attorney General, say Jack Smith, not that that's going to happen, but a new Attorney General decides that it's in their purview to review this, and that Oracle, Silver Lake, and all the other U.S. investors are breaking the law. May not be a criminal investigation, could be a civil investigation, but it would be. Sorry, guys, again, I apologize for coughing in your ear. I'll try not to do that again. I forgot that I shouldn't, but it'll be interesting. It's just some food for thought. Miss Patty Ann, the easiest cold I ever had was when I tested positive for COVID. I hear you, Patty Pat. I've had COVID, by my count, to my knowledge, I've had COVID 5 times. And I although I didn't get vaccinated this year, not because of fucking anti-vax crusader RFK dingbat. I just had gotten COVID like about 3 months before the shots came out, but I'm probably due to get a shot again. But I still got COVID a handful of times. This could be COVID. I didn't really even think to check this time. And, sometimes I've had COVID and it's never been bad, thankfully. But it's never been great, right? I can't say they were easy colds, but I can say they sucked. Miss Patty Ann, I haven't forgotten about you either in terms of our wellness post. I've just been so busy with everything else I've been doing, but I am going to get back to you this weekend in DMs. I have some updates and some thought. Sorry, guys, some thoughts to share with you about that. So you got it about a month ago, Irish Aggie. I think, yeah, I'm going to go. I think I'm going to get it. I'm going to get the shot soon. Yes, I'm going to do it. Anyway, guys, I think that's the TikTok news for now. Let's just wait and see what happens. I know people are predicting that Oracle is going to fuck this thing up. It's going to be a disaster. I know people are predicting that, Trump is basically taking over now. That Larry Ellison will just be his avatar, and it'll be Trump's. It'll be either X or Truth Social. Maybe. I mean, I don't. Who the fuck knows? I have no idea. We'll just see. Speaking of Donald Trump, before we get to the other 2 stories that I have, I posted this on. I posted this here on Substack as a note, and I just wanted to show it to you because I was very proud of myself for this post. Every once in a while, when I can validate, when something comes up that validates something I've been babbling about for the last year and a half, it sort of strokes my ego. I have my own. It's not just Donald. Mitch has his own version of less volatile, less harmful, less hateful, malignant narcissism. I'm sure I'm sure I've got some narcissistic tendencies, and I really like it when I'm right. This is still subjective. It doesn't mean I'm right. Donald, my post was, I've been saying for years that he's an imbecile, just saying. And the village idiot posted, let's see how it goes. Gamer vet dad, he is an insufferable buffoon. Let's see if I can. My voice is coming back. It's not here yet, but I'm going to give it a shot. I tried it a little earlier. It was okay. Let's see where we're at. Record cold wave expected to hit 40 states. There's a lot of states I named. I call it states. That's what they could. It's an old-fashioned word, states, and I use that. I made that word up. It's a great word. States. Right, Mark? Marco, I said, Mark, the other day, Marco said, sir, I love that you use the word state. It's a great word. Record cold wave expected to hit 40 states. Rarely seen anything like it before. Could be the environmental insurrectionist. Please explain. Whatever happened to global warming? I mean, not bad for having, a fucking face cold, right, guys? It's not bad. It's not my best Donald, but you know, I do need a drink of water because that was the last part hurt. The last part, the whatever happened to global warming, the grinding part there, that I felt that in my throat. My wife, I've got like the most amazing wife. Like, I don't know. I still sometimes wonder why she married me. She fucking made me. She made me a tea a couple days ago, and she stopped at the Indian store on the way home. She made a special trip to stop at the Indian store after working a long fucking miserable day at the hospital, and she got turmeric root, ginger, cardamom, and she made me and fennel seed, and she made me a kick-ass tea with that stuff in it, and it's just good. Like, it just tastes good. It instantly clears up the shit that's all in here. I mean, the shit comes back after I drink the tea because it's gonna be here until it's fucking done. But and it's like drinking a hot cup of pure health. It's just great. I love my wife, man. She's just awesome. Yes, trademark shark. She is the best. I don't know how I got so blessed and lucky to meet her, and then that she actually married me, which still surprises me at times. But I digress. All right, guys. So that's our first story. Let me just check the time. 11:44. Good. I've got a good 25 minutes left. So let's bring up story number 2. Is Lacey here? No, Lacey brought this to my attention this morning, and I was hoping to, she would be here. So one, I could give her credit for bringing this to my attention. And two, we could kind of hash out how we're all feeling about this. But that's not the one. That's not the one. Hang on, guys. Oh, is this it? Hang on, guys. I think I have a technical faux pas here. Let me just look at my windows for today. There's Senator Blumenthal. This is related to our discussion. Okay. I've got the wrong article here. Let me just fix this. Don't go away, everybody. Hopefully I didn't close that article up or I'm never going to find it. Here we go. Okay, now let me find the article in my windows here. Guys, 100%. My next purchase, my next technical purchase is another monitor. Sorry again, because everything, I have like all of these windows on one monitor, and I'm running my what's this stuff called? My streaming platform software through the monitor. This, whenever I look here, that's where I'm looking. And when I look straight ahead, I'm looking into our teleprompter, which doubles as a tiny monitor. I can't actually use it to read anything because, I could read teleprompting stuff, but I can't read web pages because it's too far away. But it also operates as a monitor. But so whenever you see me kind of bouncing around here trying to find an article, it's because I have open windows on top of open windows on top. So the article, this article, although I could bring it up quickly in my streaming platform software, I have to dig for it through all the other windows that I have open in the background on this single monitor. But when I have two or three monitors, which I will eventually, um, I'll have everything spread out and organized and looking nice, and it's just going to be much more fun to uh, to do that. Trademark Shark. I can never get anything done on one. Alt Tab is my friend. Yes, yeah. I need solutions. Um, and what did I just do here? Hang on, guys. Now I'm causing other problems. All right, here we go. So when Lacey sent me this link, her question, her frustration was a good one, and it was basically like, what are they doing? Like, what are they doing? Like, how is it that we have Democrats that are voting to fund ICE? How is it that we're in this moment and we have Democrats not ready, willing, and able in the House and the Senate to shut down the government, to defund ICE, right? And it's a very reasonable question to ask at this moment. How is that possible? Right? How is it that when you have public support on your side and you have the most unpopular president potentially in the history of the United States, you have social media absolutely flooded with images and videos of ICE killing people, hurting people, destroying lives, separating families, breaking the law, stomping on the Constitution, that we have a masked police force, a secret police full of lardasses, buffoons, criminals themselves, Nazi wannabes, white supremacists, and every other kind of unsavory cretin that America found a way to breed, feed, grow, groom, and hire, right? How could, like, how is this not something that you would stand up for? And, I mean, Lacey didn't use all those words, right? She was just like, what, she was like, what is going on, right? I'm so frustrated. And I really thought about this because, I like to hear myself talk, right? So I like to hear myself think also. And as much as I like the sound of my own voice in my head, and I, you know, I try to come up with these outside the box thoughts, right? That I think are novel, and then I realize it's the same shit 50,000 people thought of before I even consider the idea, right? I couldn't think of anything. Like, I was trying to find some, to have maybe a conversation with Lacey in the DM and in the DMs, and to talk about, like, um, the whole purpose of Zenocracy, of the Zen part, right, is to find peace in our effort to try to save democracy, right? While we're fighting, while we're standing up, is to find peace, to find meaning, to find reason. And I can't think of anything. I don't understand. I'm gonna read through this article, and we're gonna get some idea of why Democrats are choosing what they're choosing to do. But I can't accept that. I can. I flatly refuse to accept that as a rationale for what we're getting ourselves involved in, for the decisions that Democrats are making right now when it comes to funding ICE. It is unconscionable. It is, how could you be, and I don't know what Amy Klobuchar is going to do. I have no idea what's going to happen in the Senate. I mean, I have an idea, but I don't know, right? But how could you possibly be Amy Klobuchar? I'm just using this as an example. I'm not trying to hammer Senator Klobuchar. I love her. And again, I have so don't take this with a grain of salt. I'm using it as an example. But how could you be her and be able to go to Renee Good's widow, Renee Good's children, Renee Good's parents, Renee Good's ex-husband, Renee Good's friends, and say, I voted to fund ICE, as long as they wear body cameras, as long as they agree to take their masks off. But I voted to fund them. The clowns who murdered your loved one, I voted for them for Donald Trump to be able to continue to do that. I don't know how Democrats can rationalize this. I mean, I'm going to read to you how they can rationalize it, but I don't know. I think sometimes and I'm sure we all do it because the Democratic Party is there's emotion, but unlike the Republican Party, there's an appreciation for intellect. There's an appreciation to think things through. There's an appreciation to look at all sides of an issue. There's an appreciation to be clear-minded in making decisions and not making them based on emotion. I get that. I completely get that. But I think what we have this remarkable talent for the Democratic Party is sometimes to intellectualize the simplest fucking things and find all of these sub-narratives that matter but don't really, and then apply those sub-narratives to the big policy or legislative narrative, and then suddenly normalize insanity, illegality, murder, normalize that by complicating the issue with all of these sub-narratives. So the narrative here is that ICE is it's a masked secret police force of untrained dingbats who are terrorizing and killing American citizens and non-citizens with absolutely no accountability, doing whatever the fuck they want. That's the whole fucking narrative. I mean, am I wrong, guys? Is there anything else there? I mean, that's the whole story. So now you get in these sub-narratives that the Democratic politicians feel that it's their responsibility to consider, right? It's that, okay, look, if we even could defund him with our minority, we could interfere with our minority because the margins are so thin in the House and the Senate. Well, and this isn't all Democrats, by the way. Well, Donald Trump could just reallocate funds from another department, right? So, for example, what if he were to, for Department of Homeland Security, they want to shut down FEMA anyway. So they would be happy to illegally take the funds allocated for FEMA and allocate them over to ICE. And we can't let that happen. That's one sub-narrative, that Donald Trump would he's just going to do it anyway. So since he's going to do it anyway, at least if we fund this, then we have some say. Whatever. Right? That's one sub-narrative. Another sub-narrative is that, well, if we completely defund ICE, you're going from one extreme to another where you don't have any immigration enforcement whatsoever. And you can't have no immigration enforcement whatsoever. You can't have no one at all minding the store. That's another sub-narrative. And I'm sure there are others. And when you start putting these sub-narratives into the equation with something that's this fucking obvious, it's like the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Right? It's it's it, it, it's a basic story, right? It's a baseline narrative. And if you fucking do it, look, again, these are evangelicals, for the evangelicals out there, right? Thou shalt not kill. You fucking kill, you broke the rule, right? So I don't, and what happens is now by the Democrats that voted, and I'm sure, I have to see where Josh Gottheimer, my Democratic congressman, voted. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to. I keep coughing in your ear. Sorry. Disgusting, I know, but has to happen. Sorry, guys. I'm out of tissues. Oh, dear God. This is going to be a long live. Actually, I have two tissues rolled into one. Look, guys, if I'm nothing else, I'm always authentic, even when I'm fucking blowing my, coughing in your ear and blowing snot in your face. If nothing else, you can say, I may be disgusting and I may be completely filthy, but I am an authentic influencer. Because where else are you going to get this? I'm right. Sorry, it's ridiculous. I have no class. No class. Remember that? Remember, guys, do you remember, for those of us that are my age, Fat Albert, remember? Remember the cartoon? There was that famous saying, he's like school on Saturday. He has no class. Anyway, what am I talking about? So, and Gamer Vet Dad and Trademark Shark, I know you guys have I want to get to your convo over there. I keep glancing down at it, and I know it's probably far more relevant than what I'm babbling about. But I promise I will. Well, I'm going to try to promise. I have a tight window here, but I will try to definitely get that conversation as well. So, I don't understand the effort to add these sub narratives in winds up normalizing, I think, for a lot of Americans, murder and ICE. And that's unacceptable for Democrats to be doing that. Even if the American public won't accept it as normal, the effort to normalize it unintentionally is unacceptable. And again, I mentioned Josh Gottheimer, my member of Congress. I want to see where he came out on this issue. He's part of the Problem Solvers Caucus, and I really like him. I really do. I think he's done a damn good job. But if he voted for this, it is my hope that we get a primary challenger. It might be a little late for 2026, but it is my hope that if it's not too late, somebody steps into the ring. And they would get my vote. If I thought that I could do it, if I knew enough about my local community, I would do it. I would run to challenge him. But again, I don't know. I don't focus enough on local politics that it would, that I would feel like I'd be able to compete, nor would I be able to serve my community as a member of Congress if God forbid I could act, if God forbid they were dumb enough to elect me, because I don't give a shit that much about my local politics. So I know, like, the reason I'm bringing this up is I feel like every time we call for somebody to run as a primary challenger, a lot of times the thought is, well, Why do you have to call for somebody else? This is all going in this is the shit that goes on in my head. Just run yourself. Don't expect anyone else to do it for you. And, but I think I think AOC is your quintessential um, member of Congress. She has her perspective of the national situation. She gets it, comments on it. She has a focus on America as a whole, the international situation. And she cares and she talks about it. But she knows her district and her constituency inside and out. She cares deeply, deeply for her community, for her home. That's a part of her. Like her district is literally like her beat. If she were a reporter, if she were a cop, it's her beat. And everything she does, I believe, her as a representative of that community is deeply entrenched in that. And that's a true member of Congress. That's what a member of Congress should do. I don't give a shit about my town. I honestly don't. I never gave a shit about the town that I lived in. I mean, I give a shit in that I want it to be a good town. I want it to be a nice place. I want it to be the people there to be happy and safe. I want to see people at the store who I know and say hello and talk politics or whatever else. But I don't give a shit about. I mean, there are people who are passionate about the issues here in my city, my town, my borough. I don't give a fuck as long as the lights work. It took them 2 years to put a traffic light on the corner over here. I'm happy. It's there now. It works. There's a left turn signal. Yay. I don't give a shit. But I never went to a town hall meeting to complain about it. So I am unfit to be a member of Congress, is my point. I am going to turn my head now and blow my nose so as not to, do it to you guys again. Sorry, and then I look at it like a 10-year-old. Anyway, guys, let me read this real fast. I haven't even gotten to this. Gail, you don't have ice in your town. Gail, I don't know if this is in reference to what you guys are talking about or to what I was just saying. If it is in reference to what I was talking about, please, don't misunderstand me if I'm miscommunicating. If I have ice in my fucking town, I care about it. Yes. I care about the people in my town. I care about the migrants in my town. I care about the well-being of the town itself. But I don't care about the politics of my town. It's just my interest has always been in state politics, to a lesser extent, national politics and geopolitics. So I feel like somebody who would be a member of Congress should know and be deeply integrated in the politics of not just their town, but they should be deeply, deeply knowledgeable of local politics. And that's never been anything that has particularly interested me. I try to be informed when I'm voting for a mayor, although sometimes I just don't really know and I just vote my party. But I try to be informed somewhat about my council members, the school board, but I don't put that much effort into it. I'm going to be perfectly honest. But yeah, but I think Gail, I think you guys are talking. I'm sorry, Gail. I thought you were talking to me, feeling upset that I had said that I don't care about my town. I digress. Anyway, let me read this to you guys before I have to wrap this live. House approves final spending bill as Democrats denounce ICE funding, because I babbled for 20 minutes here and I want to make sure there's no misinformation. Let's get the facts out. The House passed this year's final batch of spending bills on Thursday, as lawmakers, still smarting from last fall's 43-day shutdown, worked to avoid another funding lapse for a broad swath of the federal government. 4 bills total about $1.2 trillion in spending and now move to the Senate, with final passage needed next week before January 30th deadline. We'll see what happens in the Senate. 3 of the bills had broad bipartisan support. They funded defense and various other departments, including education, transportation, and health and human services. A 4th bill funding the Department of Homeland Security was hotly disputed as Democrats voiced concerns. I'm sorry about that. My webpage blinked there. As voiced concerns that it failed to restrain President Donald Trump's mass deportation efforts. Republicans were able to overcome the Democratic objections and muscle the Homeland Security bill to passage with a 220 to 207 vote, which tells me there must have been Democrats who crossed over. The broader package, which funds 3.8% pay raise for military, passed 341 to 388. So that's what happened in the House. Now, I just want to play, before we wrap, guys, let me just see if I can find this clip from Senator Blumenthal. This clip, I guess it was earlier today on MS Now. I think it's probably Morning Joe from this morning. I think from, maybe not. I can't tell who the, which particular show it is. But this clip will give you an idea of what Senate Democrats are thinking. Oh, I'm clicking the wrong button. Hang on, guys. Bear with me for a minute. Let me find the right window. It honestly shouldn't be this hard. I will eventually, my friends, get that other frickin' I know the window's. I know the window has to be here somewhere on my desktop, or else I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able. You wouldn't be able to see it on here. Senator Blumenthal, where are you? I really can't find this. Like, I can find it here, but I can't start it because it's just in my streaming platform. Oh, for crying out loud, Senator. Bear with me, guys. That is so bizarre, guys. I really, truly can't find it. All right, well, maybe you're not going to hear Senator Blumenthal after all. Found it. It was hidden behind everything. Oh, now I got to make it smaller. I just made it too big. Hang on. All right, guys. Enough of this chicanery. Let's do this.
Are here. There's a spending bill for ICE, DHS. Talk us through. Democrats do not control either chamber, but the numbers are so tight. There's opportunity, right?
I think there is an opportunity. Certainly, there's an obligation to try to insist on conditions attached to these appropriations or spending bills. The House yesterday approved the ICE budget, the Department of Homeland Security spending bill, by a pretty narrow majority. What they'll try to do in the Senate, without getting too much into the weeds, is to put the Department of Homeland Security spending bill as a package with others to make it more difficult for us to vote against. But I'm a no vote on that spending bill unless there are conditions that require ICE to go to a judge to get a warrant, as well as other kinds of constraints, the use of masks, the non-identification, the unmarked cars. These police tactics, secret police, totalitarian tactics need to be stopped. And just for the record, let me say about the vice president, when he is dismissive about the difference between an administrative warrant and a judicial warrant, he ought to know better. He's a fellow Yale Law School graduate. A judge approves a judicial warrant after a finding of probable cause. I have sought them as a U.S. attorney in Connecticut, as a prosecutor. I said to agents at times, in the middle of the night, you need to go for a warrant. And literally, we went to a judge's home, and he came padding down in his pajamas and slippers at the kitchen table, authorized the warrant, and we went ahead with the search or the arrest. As opposed to a judicial approval, the administrative warrant is approved by an ICE official. So there is a really distinct difference.
Yeah, key distinctions there.
These spending bills.
All right, guys. So, and one note on what Senator Blumenthal, was talking about. The AP broke this story a couple days ago, and it was a blockbuster that, like every other blockbuster, now goes nowhere because we're in the era of Trump. Um, but ICE was given. There was a story basically that ICE agents were secretly being given. They were being a memo was given to them, and they couldn't take this memo with them. A supervisor would show it to them. They would read it, and then the supervisor would take the piece of paper back, take the memo back, right? And basically, what it said is, don't worry about judicial warrants anymore, because ICE was not allowed to go into people's houses without a judicial warrant. You couldn't break into a house without a judicial warrant, without a judge signing off. From now on, we are going to say administrative warrants are more than enough to allow us to enter a person's home against their will. An administrative warrant, from what I learned from that article and subsequent reporting, is basically just ICE. It's just an ICE lawyer, signing the warrant that says we can go get them. That's what it is. It's not even really a warrant. It's an order, in essence, from the agency itself to say, we want you, we're going to go get you. End of story. They don't have to go up and speak to a judge, present a case, and get the judge to sign off on it. That's what Senator Blumenthal is talking about. What Gamer Vet Dad, what Blumenthal is after is that an internal memo does not absolve agents from the Fourth Amendment. Thank you, and Gamer Vet Dad, and I'm sure you've been, I apologize for not looking down either, Gamer Vet Dad. You're always keeping me honest and pushing the facts on here, and I'm sure in earlier in the conversation you had a lot of good stuff. I'm sorry I was just on a roll. I'm sorry I didn't look down and highlight some of your the fact checking and the clarifications. I don't. So the Fourth Amendment is the Fourth Amendment, the part of the Constitution that tells us that a judge has to sign a warrant in order to break into somebody's house. Right? That's my assumption from what you're saying. So what Blumenthal, that's in essence what Blumenthal is saying here, is that ICE just decided to just do it. And they've been doing it. And we all saw, I'm sure, that video of when ICE, in essence, broke into those people's house, went into that. It was a house. They went to get a Liberian man that was living there. There were kids in the house. There were, I know at least a mom was in the house. There were other women in the house. And the mom was calling out ICE, asking for the warrant. They brought some bullshit piece of paper, which was clearly the administrative warrant. Gamer Vet Dad, the Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable search and seizure, right? Government searches and seizures, okay. Meaning police generally need a warrant based on probable cause, okay, and a judge has to sign off on that. If the administration, if the agency just signs their own fucking warrant and puts the word warrant on it, they can't do this. But they're just doing it anyway. And I don't, and as much as, I think Senator Blumenthal is fantastic. He's fantastic. I love fantastic. We're going to get an applause. Everybody. He's a fantastic guy. We love him. I call him Bloomy. Everybody calls him Joe. His name isn't Joe. Is that it? What's Blumenthal's first name? Anybody. I don't know. I call him Bloomy. His name is Bloomy. He's the big B to me. That's what I call him, the big B. But, he's the guy who is Richard. Thank you, Gamer Vet Dad. He is the guy who's single-handedly spearheading the Follow the Money investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, because the DOJ is obviously not going to touch it with Pam Dingbat Bondi and Dingbat Kash Patel. And Republicans in the House or Senate are not going to go anywhere near it. So he's he's a good senator. He's an excellent senator. And he's absolutely right about these things like getting the masks off, calling them out on being able to storm a house without a judicial warrant. Um, but that's what I'm saying. In my opinion, that's narrative nonsense. It's real. It's real what the senator is saying. But I don't see any reason that even if somehow the senators can push for that, and even if there's some way they can move legislation through the Senate and then back to the House because it would have to be amended, right? And then even if the idiot signed it, right, which is not going to happen, right? I cannot see a world where the ICE Gestapo, the village idiot, Christy Ice Barbie Gnome, the immigration slob Tom Homan, Greg Napoleon Bavino, right? Where these scumbags either just disregard the law, fuck it, no, we're not going to do it. What are you going to do? Take it to the fucking Supreme Court, bitch, right? That's what they're going to do. Or they find some bullshit legal loophole, pretend legal loophole that will allow them to continue breaking the laws, being unconstitutional, while this just gets tied up in court for months and months and months and months and months until they lose in all the lower courts, and that gets to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court just says he can do what he wants. Sorry. Justice Kavanaugh pens an agreement with it in the silent docket, right? In the emergency docket. Maybe we get a little concurrence from Kavanaugh again that he pulls back, on later. And why would you do this? This is when you have the power to stop it by not funding it, by shutting down the government if need be. You have the support of the American people, right? Why not do it? I don't know. Gamer Vet Dad, it looks like you have a different perspective. I'm torn as having a shutdown because the GOP is pushing continued funding, or vote to get some oversight and keep people from further suffering. The GOP is all about causing pain to get what they want. Look, I agree, but I think you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. That's I hear what you're saying, Gamer Vet Dad, but my perspective is this isn't going to stop whether there are regulations codified in law on what ICE can do or whether there are not. They'll either look for loopholes, and ICE will continue to do what it's been doing while the transgressions against the law work themselves through court. And then there's, in my opinion, like an 80% chance the Supreme Court just says, fuck the law. The president can do what he wants. Or they just straight up ignore it. So that's my thought on it. Honestly, we need to stand up for what is right. Fuck ICE. I am there with you, Gail. I am there with you. All right, my friends, I've got to wrap the live for right now because I've got our daily briefing with Chorus in 10 minutes. And then I have a training at 1. But I'll certainly be posting. For those who missed the live, I'll be posting it hopefully as soon as I get done and the recording. Maybe I can squeeze in another live later this afternoon. I'm hoping. Tomorrow is 8 a.m. live. I won't be able to do that tomorrow as I like to do on Saturdays because my son has a swim meet and we kind of need to be there for that. But I'll see how many impromptu lives I can squeeze in over the weekend. Also, if you're on any of the other socials, I'm starting to play around and get active on TikTok again. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen there? And I've also been posting to YouTube Shorts. And as I said, we're live now to here and YouTube. I love you guys. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, one live at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the group therapy. Thank you for tolerating my raspy voice, my coughing in the microphone, and to my absolute shame, my blowing my nose right on camera. It's absolutely unacceptable. But you guys put up with a lot from me, so I appreciate you. I love you guys. I will see you soon. Take care, everyone.